Why do I need to listen to English? This is a question my students ask me every day. They say, "Teacher, I study grammar. I read books. I do my homework. Why should I listen to English podcasts and videos?" I understand why they ask this question. Listening seems harder than reading. When you read, you can stop and think. You can look at a word again. But when you listen, the words come fast and then they are gone. Many students feel scared about listening. By the way, do you like listening or reading more? Tell me in the comments below. But I want to tell you something important. Listening is the most important skill for learning English. Let me explain why. And by the end of this, I think you'll understand why listening should be your #1 priority. First, let's talk about why listening is more important now than before. In 1990, most people talked to people in their own country. Now, because of the internet, we talk to people all over the world every day. We have video calls for work. We watch YouTube videos from other countries. We listen to podcasts from English speakers. In the past, if you wanted to learn English, you only needed to read and write. Now, you need to understand English speakers on the phone, in meetings, and in videos. If you can't understand English when people speak, you will have problems at work and in your personal life. Let me give you an example. My student Maria works for a big company. She can write emails in English very well, but when her boss calls her for a meeting, she can't understand him. She feels embarrassed and scared. She told me, "I feel stupid in meetings. I can read English, but I can't understand when people speak." This happens to many students. They study grammar for years, but they can't understand English movies without subtitles. They feel frustrated and think they are bad at English. But the problem is not that they are bad at English. The problem is that they don't practice listening enough. Here's something amazing that most students don't know. When you practice listening, you improve all your English skills. Let me explain how this works. When you listen to English, you hear how words sound. You learn the rhythm of English. You understand where to put stress on words. Many students pronounce words wrong because they learned English only from books. But when you listen, you learn the correct pronunciation naturally. My student Ahmed used to say comfortable instead of comfortable. He learned this word from reading, but after listening to English podcasts for 6 months, he started saying it correctly. Comfortable. He didn't study pronunciation rules. He just listened and copied what he heard. This is how children learn their first language, and it works for adults learning English too. When you listen to English, you also learn new words in context. This means you understand not just what the word means, but how to use it. Reading teaches you words too, but listening teaches you how these words sound in real conversations. For example, you might read the word awesome in a book, but when you listen to Americans speak, you learn that they say awesome about many things: food, movies, weather, friends. You learn that it's a very common word in speaking, not just in writing, but here's the most important part. When you listen to English, you don't learn grammar rules, you learn grammar patterns. Your brain starts to understand what sounds right and what sounds wrong. Think about your own language. You don't think about grammar rules when you speak. You just know what sounds right. This is because you listened to your language for thousands of hours when you were a child. You can do the same thing with English. Let me tell you about some interesting research that proves this. In 1977, Dr. James Asher did an experiment with students learning English. He divided them into 3 groups. The first group had traditional classes with grammar and writing. The second group had classes focused on speaking practice. The third group had classes focused on listening. These students listened for 6 months before they had to speak. After 1 year, He tested all the students. The results were surprising. The third group, the listening group, did the best on all tests. They were better at speaking, reading, writing, and even grammar than the other groups. Why did this happen? Dr. Asher explained that listening helps your brain understand the patterns of English. When you listen a lot, you don't have to think about grammar. You just know what sounds right. Another study in Japan followed 1,000 students for 3 years. Some students watched English movies and TV shows for 30 minutes every day. Other students did traditional grammar exercises. At the end of 3 years, the students who watched English media could understand native speakers much better. They also spoke more naturally. These studies show us something important. Your brain learns languages best through listening, not through grammar books. I want to share my own experience with you. I'm a native English speaker, but I learned French as an adult. At first, I studied French the traditional way. I learned grammar rules. I memorized vocabulary lists. I did exercises in textbooks. After 2 years of study, I could read French newspapers. I could write emails in French. But when I went to France, I had a big problem. I couldn't understand French people when they spoke. They talked too fast. They used words I didn't know. I felt embarrassed and frustrated. Then I changed my approach. I decided to focus on listening. Every day, I listened to French podcasts for beginners. I watched French movies with French subtitles. I listened to French music and tried to understand the words. At first, it was very difficult. I understood maybe 20% of what I heard, but I didn't give up. I kept listening every day. After 3 months, I could understand about 50%. After 6 months, I could understand about 80%. The amazing thing was that my speaking improved too, even though I wasn't practicing speaking. When I went back to France, I could have conversations with French people. I could understand them when they spoke at normal speed. This experience changed how I teach English. Now I tell all my students, if you want to improve your English quickly, focus on listening. But not all listening practice is the same. Let me tell you about the best ways to practice listening. The most important rule is to listen to things you enjoy. If you listen to boring things, you will stop listening. Find English content that you actually want to hear. Do you like cooking? Listen to cooking videos on YouTube. Do you like sports? Listen to sports podcasts. Do you like stories? Listen to audiobooks. When you enjoy what you're listening to, you will listen more and you will learn faster. Many students make this mistake. They try to listen to difficult things immediately. They listen to the news or academic lectures. This is too hard for beginners. Start with easy content made for English learners. There are many podcasts and YouTube channels for beginners. The speakers talk slowly and use simple words. When this becomes easy, you can try harder content. Here's a good progression. Start with beginner English podcasts, then try English learning videos on YouTube, then simple English movies and TV shows, then podcasts for native speakers about your interests, and finally news and academic content. Don't worry if you don't understand everything the first time. Listen to the same content multiple times. Each time, you will understand more. I tell my students to listen to the same podcast episode 3 times. First time, just listen and try to understand the main idea. Second time, try to understand more details. Third time, focus on words and phrases you didn't understand before. Subtitles can help, but don't depend on them too much. Here's a good way to use subtitles. First, listen without subtitles. Then, listen with English subtitles. Finally, listen without subtitles again. Don't use subtitles in your native language. This doesn't help your English listening skills. Students often ask me, How much listening should I do every day? The answer is as much as possible, but start small. If you're a beginner, start with 15 to 20 minutes per day. This might seem like a little, but it's better to listen for 15 minutes every day than to listen for 2 hours once a week. As you get better, you can increase the time. My advanced students listen to English for 1 to 2 hours per day, but they don't sit down and study for 2 hours. They listen while they do other things. Here are some ways to add listening to your daily routine. Listen to English podcasts while you exercise. Watch English videos while you eat breakfast. Listen to English music while you commute to work. Watch English TV shows in the evening instead of shows in your language. The key is to make listening a habit, not a chore. Let me talk about the most common problems students have with listening and how to solve them. The biggest complaint I hear is English speakers talk too fast. But here's the truth. Native speakers don't talk too fast. You're just not used to the natural speed of English. Start with slow content, then gradually increase the speed. Many YouTube videos let you change the playback speed. Start at 0.75 speed, then move to normal speed when you're comfortable. Another common problem is accents. English has many accents: American, British, Australian, Indian, and others. Students often say they can only understand their teacher's accent. Listen to different accents regularly. Start with clear accents like American news anchors or British BBC speakers. Then gradually add other accents. Sometimes students say, "I understand every word, but I don't understand the meaning." This happens when students focus too much on individual words and not enough on the overall meaning. Don't try to understand every word. Focus on the main ideas. It's okay if you miss some words. Native speakers don't understand every word either. Listening in a foreign language is mentally tiring. This is normal. Take breaks. Listen for 10 to 15 minutes, then rest. As your listening skills improve, you can listen for longer periods. Many students also complain that beginner content is boring, but advanced content is too difficult. Find content about your interests, even if it's a little difficult. You'll be more motivated to understand it. Use the 80% rule. If you understand about 80% of what you hear, it's the right level for you. Let me recommend some excellent resources for improving your listening skills. For beginners, try Voice of America Learning English, BBC Learning English, Simple English Wikipedia audio articles, and English learning podcasts like English Pod or All Ears English. For intermediate students, TED videos are great because they're shorter than regular TED Talks. English learning YouTube channels, Simple English Movies with Subtitles, and podcasts about your hobbies or interests are also excellent. For all levels, YouTube channels in your areas of interest are perfect. English movies and TV shows are classic resources. Try listening to English music and understanding the lyrics. English audiobooks are also wonderful for longer listening practice. Apps like Spotify have many English learning podcasts. YouTube is free and has content for every level. Netflix has English shows with English subtitles. BBC iPlayer is great if it's available in your country. It's important to see your progress because this will motivate you to continue. Once a month, listen to the same piece of content and see how much more you understand. Choose a 5-minute video or podcast episode. Write down what you understand each month. Keep a notebook of new words you hear. Review them regularly. You'll be surprised how quickly your vocabulary grows. Write down what you listen to each day and for how long. This helps you see your consistency. Notice how you feel when listening. At first, you might feel stressed or tired. As you improve, listening will become more comfortable and enjoyable. When you listen to English, you don't just learn the language, you also learn about English-speaking cultures. You learn how people think, what they value, and how they communicate. For example, Americans often use phrases like, "How's it going?" as a greeting, not a real question. British people might say brilliant instead of great. Australians might say no worries instead of you're welcome. These cultural aspects are just as important as grammar and vocabulary. They help you communicate more naturally and avoid misunderstandings. The most important thing is to enjoy your listening practice. Here are some ways to make it more fun. Create listening challenges. Try to understand a joke in English, listen to a song and write down the lyrics. Watch a movie scene and act it out. Listen to a recipe and try to cook it. Find other English learners online. Share what you're listening to and get recommendations from others. When you reach a listening goal, give yourself a reward. Maybe watch a special movie in English or buy a new podcast series. Find a study partner and listen to the same content. Then discuss what you understood. Listening is the key to successful English learning. It's not just about understanding what people say. It's about training your brain to think in English. It's about learning the rhythm and music of the language. It's about connecting with English-speaking people and cultures. Remember these important points. Start with content you enjoy. Listen a little bit every day. Don't worry about understanding everything. Gradually increase the difficulty and be patient with yourself. Learning to understand English takes time, but it's one of the most rewarding skills you can develop. Every hour you spend listening is an investment in your future. You're not just learning English, you're opening doors to new opportunities, friendships, and experiences. So find something interesting to listen to today. Put on your headphones, press play, and start your listening journey. Your future English-speaking self will thank you for it. Remember, you don't learn English by studying about it. You learn English by experiencing it. And listening is the best way to experience the language in all its beauty and complexity. I hope this has inspired you to start your listening journey today. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps other English learners find this content. And if you're serious about improving your English, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I create new videos every week with practical tips, listening exercises, and real English conversations to help you reach your goals. Share this with a friend who's also learning English. Learning together is always more fun and motivating. You can practice listening to the same podcasts, discuss what you understood, and encourage each other when things get difficult. In the comments below, tell me, what's your biggest challenge with English listening? Are you going to try any of the strategies I shared today? I read every comment and love hearing about your progress and experiences. If you want more listening practice right now, check out my other videos where I share conversations, stories, and practical English you can use every day. There's a whole playlist of listening exercises waiting for you. Remember, every English learner started exactly where you are now. The difference between those who succeed and those who give up is simple: consistency. Just 15 minutes of listening practice every day will transform your English in ways you can't imagine right now. So grab your headphones, find something interesting to listen to, and take that first step today. Your future English-speaking self is waiting for you to begin this journey. Happy listening and happy learning.